them. And so now OpenAI is kind of purchasing both of those and saying, hey, we're going to put something together that's going to do everything.
OpenAI expands its AI capabilities with the acquisition of Astral.
Yes. So Astral is this really cool open source framework for general tooling that's based in Python. So you got to think about stuff like file manipulation, video conversions, framework preamp. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that is very repetitive that you have to do, especially like whenever you're building an app and you're building a software tool. Like you have to a lot of times do the same step over and over and over again, and it can get really annoying. And so there's a lot of things like tools and libraries that can make it so that you can do it directly from your development environment, and that's what Astral does. So Astral has a lot of tools for very common stuff with, like, they have a UV package that's for like all-in-one like Python packaging. So basically if you have a tool that you're building and it's a repetitive process and you need to modify it to work on different environments and stuff like that, UV can help do that like out of the box instead of you having to build the entire config and instruction file yourself. So it's just a lot of very specific tooling frameworks that are open source, which I think is the biggest deal. And the reason I even wanted to talk about this is because this is the second really big kind of open source tooling acquisition that we've seen now, right? So OpenAI did the acquisition with OpenClaw, right? We all saw that. We talked about that on the last episode. And it's really weird because OpenClaw, again, is an open source tool. It's, you know, once it's out there, it's out there. With open source, you can't just turn it off, right? Like you can't take back what you put out on the internet. But still, these companies are willing to spend millions of dollars on the code itself and the tool itself. And it's all in the name of agentic AI. And that's what I think is really the most telling sign about this is, like, you would normally, let's say before agentic AI was really even a thing, you would say open source means that the only people that are really going to be investing into this are like nonprofits and people that are doing it for some kind of purpose of they want to pull it into their tool and they want to make it native and they want to try to compete. But at the end of the day, most open source tools don't really get too many competitors if they started out open source, right? Because why would somebody build an open source version of something that's already working and paid? And why would somebody build a paid version of something that's already working well, that's free, that's open source? So we're already kind of outside the norm of like just doing these huge high valuation acquisitions of open source tooling that realistically has, you know, a very limited chance of becoming something. Like you can't stop other people from using it. You can't patent it. You can't license it, right? So that's why it's really weird. So OpenAI spent a bunch of money on OpenClaw already, and then now we have this acquisition of Astral, which is another, again, open source tool set. So you have to start thinking, like, what does this actually mean in terms of where we're going with AI being able to take over systems and replacing a lot of the functionality that we manually do right now? And yeah. I think this is more so on the web side of stuff, right? So a lot of this is more relevant to when you're building web-based type of interfaces and web-based type of tooling and stuff like that. What we talked about earlier with NemoClaw and with Nvidia coming out with NemoClaw, their own version of OpenClaw, which there you go. There's an example of, even though OpenAI bought them, they could not stop Nvidia from creating their own kind of version of OpenClaw and their own tooling system. But the reason they weren't worried about it is because they're completely different, right? Like OpenAI probably knew that this acquisition with Astral was coming, and they were going to have a whole Python web framework and, you know, video file framework and all this huge tooling system. They're going to have that in place. And then they're also going to have like the workspace environment agent set up, which is OpenClaw. And you combine these two things together, and it's like you're getting the best of both worlds, where these agents that are from OpenClaw are designed to be assistants and designed to be, you know, fitting in like a personal assistant fitting into your day-to-day life. And then Astral is more like what your developer team would do and your IT team would normally be dealing with, and you would never have any connection between them. And so now OpenAI is kind of purchasing both of those and saying, hey, we're going to put something together that's going to do everything
Hey, David Morello here, your host from SaaS with DaaS podcast. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out some of our other clips right here. And you can go ahead and see one of our other episodes or even clips from this same episode from SaaS with DaaS podcast. We'll see you on the next one.